Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick confirmation if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. So, before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself to you all first. So, my name is 𝐂𝐝𝐻 and I have been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. Let's get started. So the main agenda for today's session, we are going to discuss on how we can combine Python and Tableau platforms. So first of all, we are going to discuss on the concepts of TabPy. Then we are going to discuss on why we have to use TabPy, the benefits of using TabPy installation, how we can explore TabPy as a part of our discussion. So first of all, let's start our discussion on TabPy. So what exactly is TabPy? Basically, it is used for, or we can say in simple layman terms, it's a combination of Tableau and Python platform so that we can use it for getting a better output by combining the power of Python by using its extensive libraries, and then also by using the Tableau in terms of its capabilities in providing us the best possible visualization, and that too in the easiest format possible, right? That exactly is why we, and again, to get the best of both the worlds here, that's why we simply combine it together to get something called as TabPy. So basically, it is used for performing the advanced calculations, which is not generally available in the Tableau platform. And it's not, and because in Tableau, we have limitations in terms of calculations. And plus in Python, we have limitations in terms of visualizations, right? So we are simply getting the best of both the worlds by using something called as TabPy. And it offers us multiple advanced analytics, which is not possible by either in Tableau or either in Python as well. And then it also leverages all the machine learning libraries in Python, because we know that Python is one of the main use, or one of the primary languages used in data science. And that's why we are going to make use of it. So we can say in simple layman terms, TabPy is what? TabPy is basically an API that enables evaluation of Python code from within a Tableau workbook. So when we use TabPy with Tableau, we can define calculated fields in Python, thereby leveraging the power of a large number of machine learning libraries right from our visualization tabs here. That's how it works. And the Python integration in Tableau enables powerful scenarios. For example, it takes only a few lines of Python code to get the sentiment score for reviews of products sold at an online retailer. And then you can explore the results in many ways in Tableau as a part of multiple types of visualization up here. We can say available there. We can make use of pie charts, of the line graph, of the area chart, or the stat graphs here, depending upon the requirement. All right. And TabPy, as you know, is basically an analytics extension implementation which expands Tableau capabilities by allowing users to execute Python scripts and saved functions via Tableau's table calculations. Now, if we talk about why we have to use TabPy, then TabPy is basically, if you talk about a small use case for TabPy, there are multiple use cases as part of the requirement for having a better understanding on top of it. So let's say we are trying to identify criminal hotspots in City X using city police department showing calls reporting for various type of criminal activities in the past few years. So let's say we have this kind of data with us where we have the city event number, then we have event clearance prescription, then we have the call type, then we have the priority, the initiation level, the final status, the original when the dispatch team had arrived, and then what was the area in which it was delivered. So now with this data, it is hard to identify this given pattern based on the current data set that we have. And now if we talk about the density-based spatial clustering of applications, or with noise or DB scan, is a well-suited algorithm for this job. So we have the script already available where we are going to make use of scikit-learn, and then we are going to simply import dbscan from scikit-learn cluster. And basically using this, what we can do here, we can simply create a cluster where we can easily showcase the spatial clustering of any applications with a given noise. And it is installed as a part of TabPy as well. So if we talk about the benefits of TabPy, then there are multiple. First of all, it can be easily used for integration of machine learning algorithms, which is not easily available in BI in Tableau itself. That exactly is one of the main features of TabPy. And it also gives us an access to a whole variety of machine learning libraries, as we have discussed, and it allows us to call out to the web services as well. Now, basically, it is used for sending the data in the Tableau dashboard to Python to do that. Now, it has new capabilities, or we can say, like it can be used for churn prediction or converting text data to sentiment scores or finding the optimal route for delivery trucks as well. So as we discussed, it is used for lead scoring and churning predictions. It can be easily maintained, shared, and reused by using multiple models that can be coded just once and can be customized easily as per the requirement, thus reducing the manual task. And then it has enhanced developer and user experience. The entire UI, it is intuitive because again, it is currently running the entire user experience of Tableau platforms, and thus it is much familiar and comfortable for the end users as well. And since we are using Tableau, we can use Tableau platforms to make live connections to different data sources like SQL, or we can use any other platform, or we can use SQL or any other databases stored in the cloud platforms. Or if we have different file formats available, then we can easily get connected to almost every type of data source, including data warehousing services as well. So whatever advantages we have for Tableau and Python is applicable on TabPy as well. So now if we talk about the process of TabPy installation, then we have a script available for installing TabPy as well. So we can simply install TabPy by using the TabPy functionality, and then we can start creating multiple recommendations on TabPy as well. So in case we are using the CLI, or if you're using the Python IDE, then we can simply open a Python IDE, and then we can get started by using the Python CLI. So in case we are looking to work on TabPy, then we can install it locally, or we can simply use different available versions here through which we can get started. For example, suppose if we are using any kind of IDE, like say if you want, we can also make use of PyCharm. So PyCharm allows us to have an easy installation. It allows us to have an easy installation of TabPy as a library. So in case we are using PyCharm, that in case we are not, and here we can open up TabPy, or suppose here we can simply open PyCharm, download. So PyCharm is basically one of the most popular IDEs available that we can use for free. Its community edition is available for free. So in case we have our main use is on Python itself, if our main purpose of using this ID is to develop on core Python, then we can use it for free. Or if you want to integrate that with other applications, then we can include the professional edition as well. So we can all click on download in the community tab, and then we'll be having the access to a free version of PyCharm ID available. So Tableau Public is available for free, so there is no licensing involved here. It is offered as a community edition. And then here we only have to enter the email address, and then we will be getting the link to download Tableau Public automatically. So using this link, we can simply enter our email address, and then we'll be having the access to Tableau platform as well. First of all, in case we are using any kind of ID for Python, then we can open up the settings parameter for that ID. For example, if we are using PyCharm, so here we can open up PyCharm and we can simply create a new project. And if you want to install TabPy, because TabPy is what? TabPy is also one of the libraries available here. So either we can use this GUI method, or we can directly use the Python CLI in order to get started. We can use the Python IDL as well in case you want to start working on Python, or we can use this kind of Python CLI. So here we can open now for installation of libraries in PyCharm. What we have to do, we have to click on File, and under File here we have Settings. So under settings, we can choose a project interpreter. So currently, which particular interpreter we are currently using, we can see that. And then based on the interpreter that we have selected, we can simply click on plus, and then we will be able to choose the library that we want to install here. So let's say if you want to install one specific library, then we can click on plus, and here we can choose which library we want to start with, and we would be able to get the access of installing any library available in Python just by typing it in and clicking on install. So this is going to automatically install the library for us in case we don't want to go through the CLI path. So let's say here we are looking for TabPy. So here we can search for TabPy, and TabPy is a library available here in the list. And once we choose to install anything, then here we can click on install package, and then we would be able to see this package being currently downloaded from the repository and then installed. So depending upon the library package size, it is going to take anywhere from a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes as well, depending upon size of the library that we are going to install here. And once it has been installed successfully, we would be able to see a message as installation is successful. That means now we can start importing TabPy and then we can start working on it. So the main requirement is we have to include TabPy. So once we have installed Tableau Public Platform, so here we can simply open up Tableau Public. So in the meantime, let's see how the platform is structured before we can start our discussion on TabPy platform. This is what Tableau platform is, and once you install Tableau platform, then this is going to be the entire home page. Now we can choose which type of data source we want to select in order to get started. So let's say here we want to, now here we can connect to any data source we want. For example, we can, if we have data stored in a database running MySQL or any database engine, if we have data sets in any third-party application, like we have Marketo, we have Adobe Analytics, we have data stored in a local CSV or Excel file. So there can be multiple data sources that we can get connected to. So let's say we do have the access to any Excel files, and here we can, in the left sidebar, we can choose a file source as Microsoft Excel, and then we simply have to connect to the data file. So let's say if we want to start with a simple example, so here we can use global superstore orders. You can click on open, and this is now going to open up the global superstore order file with us so that we can start using it for making multiple analysis here. So once we import any file, so here we can see a table for orders. So we can see the details for all the columns available in this particular file. So here we have an orders table, we have row ID, we have order ID, order date, shipping date, shipment mode, customer ID, customer name, segment, postal code, city, state. So we have multiple values being defined here. So now if you want, now in case we want to connect this to multiple other tables, in case you want to apply multiple joins, then we can do that easily. All right. So now let's say if you want to, now for example, here we want to connect people, if you want to perform the join of people and orders. So here we can simply define the entire relationship that you want to maintain for different tables that we may have imported, and then we can start working on applying the actual joins and then start working on creating visuals out of it. So for now, to keep things simple, we are going to make use of only one table as orders. So we can remove this join for now. And now once we have selected the table, here we can go to sheet 1, and this is where the actual reports are being generated. So in here in the left sidebar, we can see the list of all the data pointers that we have as per the current sheet. And then we have the filters, the pages available. This is the entire canvas for Tableau platform. And on the right side, we have the type of visuals available based on the data pointers that we have selected. For example, we have now let's suppose if you, now we can see if we have these different data pointers available with us. For example, here we have order ID, we have order priority, we have the profit, we have discount. We have multiple tables defined here. So what we can do is, if you want to if you want to see a simple report on top on the basis of profit. So our goal here is to see the year-wise year growth in terms of profit distribution. So what we can do, we can simply first of all choose profit as data pointer, and then we can suppose here we can simply drag and drop it in terms of rows or columns, how exactly we want to visualize it. And then we can define, okay, what exactly we are going to compare, or we can say plot this against. So let's say here we want to see the performance in terms of profit in terms of year by year growth. So here we have the order date. So we can simply drag and drop the order date. So whatever column we want to refer here, we can simply drag and drop that column into the column section. So now, based on the data pointers that we have selected, we can see multiple type of visualization is available in the left sidebar. So you can see we have the options are going for pie chart, for the heat maps, for the tree map available, for the line charts, for the scatter plots, depending upon the requirement. So let's say here we want to change the type of visualization here. For example, here we want to go for stack chart. Here we want to go for pie chart, depending upon requirement. If you want to create a simple tree map, then here we can simply create them one by one as per the requirement here. Let's say here we want to make use of the line graph, then we can choose it here. And then we can filter it out as per the requirement. For example, let's say here we are seeing the report in terms of year. So we can see a steady growth in terms of 2012, then 13, then 14, 15. It has been a steady growth. Now we want to dive deeper. So let's say here we want to segregate them based on the quarter data. So you can see here now we have simply expanded the date values. So in case we have the actual values in terms of dates, so we have expanded that. And now we can see the performance of different years compared with each other in terms of different quarters. So you can see here 2013 wasn't that great here because again from second quarter we saw we didn't saw that much of increase, but again in terms of the 2014 and 15 they have been great years in terms of the entire performance, as you can see here. Correct. Now again we want to bifurcate it, suppose let's say based on days. So again we can click on plus, and now we can see further bifurcation in terms of the day performance as well. Now we don't want to have different columns being visualized in different for different years. What we want to have a same graph, but again, we want to plot year as a part of legend. That means in a single graph, we want to show the performance in terms of, we want to show the performance in terms of month by one distribution, and plus we want that year should be displayed as a legend. That means we can have different line graph, we can have different lines defined for different years so that we can easily visualize and compare the performance in terms of profit for different years, right? Because comparing by using this type of visual is not that easy, correct? So what we can do, we can simply drag the year. Now we want to use year as a legend. So we can drag year, and in the mark section here we have the legends in terms of colors, size, label, detail, tooltip, or path. We can define okay, what kind of label or we can what kind of legend we want to use here. So here we can simply drag it to color, and now we can see here we have distribution in terms of quarter. Let's suppose if we don't want to see quarter performance, we can remove the quarter performance as well. And now we can see we have a month by month distribution in terms of profit. And this is what we have categorized based on different years. Why? Because we have used years as a color legend. So now we can see different colors for different years. And if you simply try to visualize it, for example, here we want to simply place a mouse cursor on top of it. As we discussed, this is a complete interactive visual. So here we can see the month of order date, the year of order dates here. Here we are also looking at the exact profit based on the data pointers being selected here. And now it has become much easier for us to compare the values with each other. Correct. Same way here, let's suppose here we don't want to use this one here. Here we want to use a simple line area chart here. So we can simply use line area chart, and then we can simply further categorize them as part of the requirement. Depending upon the requirement here, we can simply categorize them as per the requirement here. All right. So, and let's say here, if we don't have TabPy installed here, so we can make use of any of the Python ideally as well to install Python as part of the requirement. So or we can not Python here, but again, we can simply use this package manager to install TabPy. So here for doing that, we can simply use a simple command set with Anaconda. So Anaconda is also a complete package manager, which is basically useful for installation of all the machine learning libraries as a complete package available in a system. So in case you want to work on Anaconda as well, so let me give you this option as well. So for working on Anaconda, we can download the entire deployment package and then we can get started. So Anaconda is going to simply download and install all the required data science toolkit, which includes Jupyter Notebook, SciPy, Spider, NumPy, DAX, Bokeh, PyTorch, TensorFlow, Pandas, Matplotlib, Conda. So again, these all are going to be properly installed and configured into a system as a part of machine learning toolkit. And this is available for all three platforms, for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So we simply have to install the bundle package manager, and we will be able to see this one getting installed. And in case we want to install TabPy by using the Conda, so once we install Conda package, so here we can simply open up the Conda installer, and here we can type in Conda install, and then we can use Anaconda TabPy server. In case we want to install TabPy server by using the Anaconda installer, so we can run this command, and then it is going to take a couple of seconds, and then this is going to simply collect all the package metadata, and then it is going to simply download the package and configure it automatically into our system. So once this is configured, we will be able to set up the service connection back in Tableau server. So, and once we are done with the installation process here, we would be able to navigate to Tableau platform, where we would be able to get connected. All right, so now we can navigate to Tableau platform, and here we can navigate to this section for help, where we can simply click on the settings and performance, and here we can click on manage external service connection here. So here we can define manage external service connection. So as you can see, that's how we can simply integrate the Python by going to the manage external dependencies, and then we can get started. So once we have configured that, then we would be able to now, and by default, this is going to be configured on port 9004, for which we can also check the conditions as well as part of the requirement. So once we are done with the installation here, we would be able to work on it. So are we all clear to this part? Please give me a quick information, everyone, on how we can integrate by managing the external libraries here. Can you reshare what exactly how we can install TabPy? Sure. So we can, as you can see, in case you want, if you don't have the TabPy installed, let me summarize that. So in case you have not installed TabPy, because as we discussed, we need both. We need TabPy and we need TabPy server both. So for that, first of all, in case we don't have any kind of TabPy server installed, then here we can simply use TabPy. We can simply use pip install TabPy, and then we will be able to get started. Let me share the command with you all in case you want to refer that. In case you're using pip 20.2. Again, any version of 20.2.0, then we have to upgrade that from 20.2.0 to 20.3.3. Then only we can get started successfully on installation of pip TabPy. Because TabPy needs at least 20.3.3, then only we'll be able to install it. All right. And once we are done, we can simply run the same process again as pip install TabPy, and then we can see this is currently being configured. In case it has already been configured, it won't take more than a couple of seconds. In case it hasn't been, then it will take a couple of minutes, because the entire package is going to be downloaded, and then only it is going to get updated here one by one. And once we are done, we can simply go ahead and in our Tableau server, where we have to go to the help settings, and under that we have to go to settings and performance, manage analytics, extension, and then we have to use the TabPy server. All right, so that's how we can get connected. Now let me showcase a small example for TabPy that we can make use of. A simple script that we can create, and because at the end, when we are done connecting this with the TabPy platform, then we can simply create a script, and then we can use our script as a data source in Tableau platform. So we can also work on forecasting with TabPy as well. So basically, once we are done with installation here, we can simply do forecasting with TabPy as well if and when required. So to use the data set on breast cancer cases in Wisconsin and try to draw a correct diagnosis from it using different machine learning algorithms and TabPy. So basically here we can For grid search, we are going to make use of naive. We are going to make use of logistic regression, support vector machine, gradient boosted tree, and then for finding the best model, we can make use of k-fold cross validation method. So these all are different libraries here. So naive is basically an algorithm which is basically used as a part of classification algorithm. So here we can simply calculate the probability of each occurrences as a part of a calculation for solving this particular problem statement. And then we have logistic regression, where we can find the possibilities of multiple occurrences of events by creating a complete regression tree as well. So basically we can use it for defining the relationship between one dependent variable and the other ones. So basically we can make use of logistic regression. All the decision trees are also part of logistic regression itself. And then we have support vector machine, which is basically a supervised machine learning algorithm capable of performing classification, regression, and even outlier detection. So by using the SVM classifier, we can work by having a straight line drawn between two different classes, and then we can make use of this simple support vector machine algorithm. It is used for both classification and for regression challenges. And then we have the gradient boosted tree. So basically, again, this is also one of the libraries available in Python. And in case you're using Tableau Public, then again, we cannot integrate TabPy directly with Tableau Public, because again, that is offered as a part of the Tableau Enterprise Edition only. So if we are using TabPy, if you have a plan of using TabPy in Tableau platform, then we cannot do that with Tableau Public. For that, we have to go ahead and use the enterprise edition of Tableau. Then only we can get started. So in case you don't find the options of managing the external libraries in Tableau Public, then we won't be able to get that, because that is available only for Tableau Enterprise Edition, not for the free public version. All right, so that's why you won't be able to see that in the Tableau Public platform. So for individuals here we have Tableau Creator, which is basically billed at $70 on a monthly basis, and then we had different pricing for the entire teams and companies if you want to get started. So again, in case we want to work with a BI tool, so I would recommend you to use Power BI in that case. So in case you want to work on integration of Python scripts and you want to visualize it, then in that case you can prefer using Power BI on top of Tableau platform. So Power BI has a direct integration available for Python. So in case you want to see how exactly it works in Power BI, so we only need to have a Python install and configure into our system, and then we just have to open a Power BI. And then first of all, in order to make sure that we have the integration set up for Python in Power BI, we have to go to files, and then here we have to go to options and settings. Under not data source here, under options here, we would be able to find the settings available for Python and R both. So here we have to click on options, and under options we can see here we have for Python scripting, right? So here we only have to choose the Python interpreter that we have installed. It can be an Iguana Python interpreter, or it can be Python 2.7, 3.8, depending upon the requirement. And then we can use a Python IDE. And once we are done, here we can choose the integration in terms of Python. So we can see here we have Python visual available. So in case we want to in case you want to start typing in Python, then we can do that. Or we can simply define the get data source, and here we can choose Python script as well, so that we can directly import any script that we may have written in Python in Power BI. So here we can choose the source as R script or Python script. We can define it as to get connected, and then we can directly import the entire script and have the visual created out of the data file that we may have connected. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.